If you've been following the Olympics, you may have heard of the surprising performances of two 18-year-old women from Namibia. One of them, Christine Mboma, stunned the track and field world by taking a silver medal in the 200 meters race. Her compatriot, Beatrice Masilingi, finished sixth, but their rise to the big stage has been shaken by questions over their high levels of naturally occurring testosterone.
Winning a silver medal at the Olympics at just 18 years of age, usually the beginning of a great career. Namibia's Christine Mboma, already a giant on the track. Off of it, she's a shy teenager.
I can say this is my first Olympic. I was feeling nervous to run against Thompson and other best athletes. When I was young, I was watching them, and I didn't expect to run with them. Then I just push and do my best.
In Tokyo, and in addition to winning a silver medal, Mboma broke the 200-meter world record for under 20 years old, 3 times in 2 days. A true track star in the making, provided she's allowed to continue to compete, because both Mboma and her teenage compatriot Beatrice Masilingi, who finished 6th in the 200-meter final, have naturally high testosterone levels. Reacting to their surprising runs, the head of the governing body of world athletics said it was pretty observable that the last 30 or 40 meters of the 200 were impactful. And actually, I think that vindicated the decision about the 400 meters. If you're finishing at 200 meters like that, you extend the runway. Under the IAAF rules, the two sprinters' rare physiology is deemed to give them an unfair competitive advantage in track events ranging between 400 meters and a mile. The IAAF has been trying to deal with the issue for years, since the emergence of Caster Semenya in 2009, who's also classified as an athlete with naturally high testosterone levels. Semenya has been the most outspoken critic of the federation rules, challenging them in various courts. After losing all the cases, South Africa's 2-time Olympic 800-meter champion was barred from defending her title in Tokyo. My responsibility, as uncomfortable as it is, says Sebastian Coe, is always to do whatever I can to maintain the integrity of competition and that level playing field. We've never said that there may not be advantages at lower levels elsewhere. Christine Mboma looks to have a promising future ahead of her, at least if she's allowed to continue competing. Calls are growing for a ban to be slapped on athletes like her who have naturally high testosterone levels. But there's one race that she's guaranteed to keep on winning. Back home in Namibia, where she's a national hero.
To talk more about this and the rest of the Olympic Games as they wrap up, let's speak to my colleague from DW Africa. He's a sports commentator there, Isaac Mugabi, who joins us now from Bonn. Isaac, good to have you on the program. We've seen the controversy surrounding Christine Mboma and Beatrice Masilingi from Namibia. How has that news gone down back home in Namibia?
Well, Tommy, Namibians, of course, are not happy that their female runners were denied the chance of bringing home medals in the 400 meters category because of high testosterone levels. Many have been questioning Olympics organizers regarding their methodology to determine who and who doesn't have high levels of testosterone talked about among female athletes. And for many, the banning of the Namibian teens from competing is a kind of direct attack or marginalization of African women in sports. They are also questioning why two teenagers representing the US and Great Britain won gold and silver in the women's 800 meters, beating seasoned runners. No speculations or requests for them to take testosterone tests were done. And well, to me, the issue of the two teenagers has reopened, I should say, the whole debate about differences in sexual development once again. World athletics has been widely criticized.
The Taliban have taken a provincial capital for the first time since US-led forces started withdrawing from Afghanistan. The militants captured Zaranj, the capital of Nimroz province on the border with Iran. It's a major symbolic victory for the militants who have advanced rapidly in recent weeks. And joining us now for more from Kabul is journalist Frans Marti. Frans, how significant is the fall of this provincial capital for the Taliban and for Afghan forces?
It is certainly a significant gain for the Taliban, maybe less because it's a provincial capital, but more Saranj sits on the border with Iran, so it is a trade hub. And then it's not about how much money the Taliban can gain from trade, more about how much they keep the revenue away from the government, so the government loses money through the fall. But of course, it's also symbolical because it is a provincial capital. There might, in fact, have been a second provincial capital fallen to the Taliban today. In Jebaran, fighting has been going on, and government troops have apparently retreated to a base outside the city. So the Taliban try to make good of this symbolic victory, and that this will accelerate attacks in other places. Whether or how this will play out remains to be seen.
Now, the Taliban have been making steady gains since international troops largely quit Afghanistan, but have until recently stayed away from the bigger cities. Could we be in for a long battle?
That's very much likely. So the Taliban strategy at the beginning seems to have been taking over rural areas and then demand at the negotiation table, which they apparently did earlier this summer, surrender of the government. When the government didn't surrender, the Taliban apparently, given what happened during the past day, then decided to put it up a notch and also attack provincial capitals. Now there are attacks against several provincial capitals across Afghanistan, some more severe, some less. But it seems to be that the Taliban want to show with this that they can take over the whole country. However, given that, for example, in Lashkargah, the capital of the Taliban stronghold Helmand, government forces hold out much longer than probably observers would have been expected, and put up a stiff resistance. It shows that the Taliban can maybe take over some provinces, several provinces, the whole country. That would be a long battle.
We've also seen other forms of resistance. This week, Afghan people have protested in several cities, including in Herat and in Kabul, against the Taliban. Tell us more about these demonstrations.
It started in Herat, where government forces and militias have fended off an attempt of the Taliban to take over Herat. I can't say how spontaneous it was, but then a few nights ago, people were going on their rooftops and shouting, "God is great," in support of government forces, thanking them and God to have saved the city. Then it was replicated in Kabul, where the shout seemed continued while there was gunfire from an attack in the city going on. And then it has also been repeated in many other cities. So this shows that a significant part of the population is against the Taliban and supports the government.
All right, Frans Marti, journalist in Kabul, thank you very much for your reporting.
Thank you for summing all of that up for us. It's been great to hear your thoughts. Isaac Mugabi, DW's sports commentator, speaking to us from Bonn. Now, another of those troubles off the field affected Fatoumata Yari Camara, a wrestler from Guinea. She was the only professional athlete from her country to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics, but her preparations were disrupted when Guinean officials announced a withdrawal from the competition over COVID-19 concerns. But under international pressure, Guinea later reversed its decision.
Tokyo's Narita International Airport, the final arrival. It felt like a miracle for Fatoumata Yari Camara, and she had a message for women and girls in Africa. I asked them to be courageous because the sport I'm taking part in is a combat sport. It's not easy. You need to be brave. It demands courage and perseverance. Her road to Tokyo had been more than bumpy. Raised in a poor neighborhood in the capital Conakry, she had no gyms, no professional trainers, no doctors nor dietitians to help her. Her traditionalist family was no support, but her coach only had encouragement for her.
First of all, you have to convince your own family that you want to practice sport. And then when it becomes about wrestling, it become more challenging because most of the time in the culture, wrestling is for men.
And Kamara overcame all the obstacles. A grant brought her a 2 weeks training in Rome. Then, disaster. Just 2 days before the start of the Games, Guinea withdrew, citing health concerns due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Kamara was devastated, but she wasn't giving up her dream just yet. I want the President of the Republic to review his decision for me because I really want to take part in these Olympic Games. An international outcry followed and the government relented.
Guineans could not understand Guinea not taking part in the Games. The president understood. He got in touch with his contacts to ensure the Guinean delegation would be protected and that the conditions would be adequate for preventing us from catching this disease amid this cursed pandemic.
Kamara puts her achievement down to African fortitude. We are mentally strong. If you're fighting because there is something in it for you, then you do all you can to win. But if you expect nothing, there is nothing for you, but you still fight to win, that proves your mental strength. Kamara made it through to the final 8 in Tokyo. Not enough for a medal. But Fatoumata Yari Kamara just goes to prove the founding motto of the Olympics. It's not about winning, it's about taking part.